Now, we have been getting Assassin's Creed Valhalla impressions from both big media outlets and from big YouTubers alike, like Young Yeah, TBH, just to name a few. Shout out to them. Now the main consensus around this game is that basically if you like Origins and Odyssey, you will more than likely like this game. Now, me as someone who put over 300 hours in Origins and over 200 in Odyssey, I can say that I'm kind of looking forward to this game because the combat has been growing on me from what I've seen. It definitely does look better, much better than what the leaks showed, especially the combat. The combat looks way much better than that first leak, much better. The boss fights look really cool, interesting, and there were some things I didn't know you could do. Like, I didn't know you could actually stealth assassinate one of the bosses, because I seen footage of somebody. He pretty much was in this tree and he just jumped down and performed the air assassination. But there's also been some worries about the story as well, in terms of like, what do people think about the story? Like, in terms of, will this be an Assassin's Creed game in terms of story? Now, there are some things like I've pointed out, not necessarily pointed out, but there's some things I've paid attention to in the gameplay reveal that they showed. They brought back social stealth. They showed how you can don a hood, don your cloak to cover up your weapons and shields and stuff. You do have a hidden blade, even though it's on top. That's just Eivor's preference, because he or she, depends on who you play as, wants people to know that, hey, I'm coming for you, I'm coming to kill you, pretty much. Now, I know there's been, and not just that, but they did bring back Eagle Vision. They're calling it Odin Vision, but it's pretty much one and the same. And I like how it looks. It has a pretty cool looking aesthetic to it. Same as the skill tree, it has also a pretty cool looking aesthetic. And I know some people have been worried about, is this, like, story wise, is this gonna not be about Assassin's Creed? Even TBH said in his after his hands-on impressions that even though he was like thrown somewhere in the middle of the game, I think he said, and he only had to play 3 hours, and the story was pretty much, could be just spoiler territory. He did say that there was like literally in none of the story missions he played that revolved around the Creed or the Brotherhood or the Templars. Now, I think they did the same thing with Origins and Odyssey, if I'm not mistaken. Now, with Origins, it was on the nose that you were playing in as an assassin, and this was about Assassin's Creed. And I know some people, will still say that Origins wasn't an Assassin's Creed game. It definitely was an Assassin's Creed game in terms of story. Definitely was an Assassin's Creed game, because you see the foundation of the Creed. You see the origin of the freaking logo of the Creed was was like a eagle bone that was like carved in the sand, and when Bayek removed it, it pretty much revealed the logo of Assassin's Creed, of what we would know. And you also seen in that game, you seen how Aya pretty much, she was really the first assassin to say Requiescat in Pace, which was an iconic line in the Assassin's Creed series. Now, with that being said, though, I can still say that I wholeheartedly would have preferred the older, not necessarily the older games, but some of the other games that came out early in the gen, like Black Flag, like Rogue, like I would even say, Black Flag, Rogue, Syndicate, and Unity. I would have much preferred those games over these new ones. Not necessarily combat wise, but more so the basic fundamentals of what made Assassin's Creed Assassin's Creed. I think if these new games still had those core principles and fundamentals of Assassin's Creed, of what makes you an assassin, of what being an assassin is about plugging into the Animus and all that. It still is like that in a way, but not really, because they don't focus much on the modern day shit. And the crazy part is, you ain't even got to be related to any of these assassins to play as them, which I think is kind of bogus. But I do have some fears about this story. that hopefully that this game's story does not end up being like Odyssey story, in the sense of story wise, it's not necessarily about the Creed at all. Now, granted, or Odyssey's story, it pretty much, even though you did not play as an assassin, there was no assassins in Greece at that time, but there was assassins in different parts of the world. They just didn't have no core foundation until Origins, because you did see like the earliest known version of the Templars, the Code of Cosmos, who were basically the, what I would call, the more chaotic version of the Order of the Ancients, which would do shit behind the shadows, behind the scenes sort of thing. But like I was saying, my main concern is that hopefully this story don't end up being like Odyssey, in the sense it's not about Assassin's Creed at all. Like, I mean, the DLC was in a way, but if it's just like, at no point there's no Templars, there's no Brotherhood, there's no explanation on how Eivor got in that blade, and Eivor's just doing all this assassin type of things for no reason, having eagle vision for no reason, then it's going to be a huge issue with me, and I'm going to call Ubisoft out on that. If I play the game, not more so play the game, but if I'm, no, let me say, yeah, I play the game and I get like, say, I don't know, 10 hours in, or maybe 15 hours in or so, and by that time, it's like, it's not about Assassin's Creed, or I'm still beat it. But if I get, more specifically, if I get to the end of that game and there was never mention of the Creed Brotherhood and all that, or no explanation on how Eivor is doing all this shit, then I'm gonna be pissed, because there's just no way, no fucking way you can just be a random person that can just do all these things assassins can do, but not be an assassin. Like, especially with the blade. Like, bro, if you're gonna just, like, that would make it look like you're just handing out blades. Like, you would just be handing out blades to just random motherfuckers, like, here you go, have a blade. Have a blade. You get a blade. You get a blade. Oh, y'all get blades. Y'all remember how Oprah Winfrey would do? Oh, you get this. You get that. Oh, y'all get this. Check under your chair for a hidden blade type shit. I would be furious if that ends up being the case, because it wouldn't make no sense for Eivor to be doing all this, and more specifically having a hidden blade, if you're not an assassin. Like, that would make no fucking sense whatsoever to me. But like I was saying, story wise, it has to be about Assassin's Creed. It has to be about that, because if not, it's gonna piss a lot of people off, especially me, somebody who's been sticking around since Assassin's Creed 2 and has put a combined 500 hours in the last 2 games combined. And if they do this, if I'm correct, I hope I'm not correct, I hope I'm fucking wrong, but if I'm proven correct, then basically Ubisoft would have single-handedly turned my beloved franchise into Ghost Recon, into what Ghost Recon is today. Nothing more than a wannabe Division. That's basically what Ghost Recon is now. Trying to be like Division. And not only that, but it would be like Far Cry, in the sense of it's the same thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. Like, I would be furious with that. It would make me question Ubisoft. And hopefully I'm dead wrong, because we know how a lot of people did not fuck with Breakpoint, and we know how Ubisoft said we want to learn from Breakpoint. We want to learn from all the mistakes we made from Breakpoint. Well, prove it with this game. But yeah, hopefully they don't fuck it up, because I'm gonna come at them and simply say you done fucked it up in the best Angry Joe impression I could possibly do.